Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Kevin Volz, who's the CEO of Badger Insurance Advisors. Kevin, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You are welcome. I'm looking forward to learning from you and some tips that you have in your business. Give us a little bit of your background and what your entrepreneurial journey has been like to this point in your career.
Sure. Right out of college, I went to University of Wisconsin in Madison, Badgers, and that's the current business name, Badger Insurance Advisors. After school, I was a financial advisor and had done that until last summer. I officially sold the business. A little before that time, I guess it's been 5 years now, I was getting a lot of referral business from a property casualty insurance agent here in the Denver area that I knew from church. And he said, you know, Kev, my business is a whole lot easier than what you're selling. He said, you ever think about it? And I hadn't until he said that. And it really didn't take long. I thought, you know what? I think you're right. So it was about 2 months later, I went through all the licensing and it really changed gears. And that was beginning of 2017 to start my property casualty agency from scratch. Just me, no one else involved, not working with any clusters or bigger groups that have a hand in this. So it's really been just my baby from the beginning. It's been a lot of fun. I think, honestly, I was just tired of the financial advisory business because it's changed a ton over time. You know, it used to be where, hey, I'll sell you, 100 shares of IBM and then I get a commission of $500. Well, those days are gone. Now the commissions are zero and there's really no value from the advisor point of view other than planning, whether that's for, college education, retirements, you name it. And I didn't like it anymore, bottom line. So I was approaching 50 years old thinking, if I'm ever going to make a change in my career, now's the time to do it. Let's make the move. And 5 years later, I'm now probably more profitable, making more money than I ever did as a financial advisor. Glad to be done with that chapter in my life and really just focus on the personal needs, personal insurance needs of folks, primarily in the Denver area, but I do reach out to some surrounding states.
The couple neat things that I hear through that introduction is this was not I'm going to turn my back on the industry. This was just a pivot, and you're still in financial services. It's just a different type of, and you're probably higher and more deep value to your current client. Here you go. You need this, here you go. So I think that's a really neat aspect that you can bring some depth to your clients.
Yes, I lost you for a little bit there, but I think the path that we're on it definitely was a pivot. Still in financial services, but I just find it a much easier business, not just to sell, but for people to relate to. I think from the consumer side, when you have to make a decision, I need car insurance, I need to have homeowners insurance versus, well, let's talk about your estate planning. You don't really need to do that right now. Maybe, that can wait, or long-term care planning as a part of all that, or whatever it might be. There's much more of a need, and then I feel that people then make a business decision versus a more of an emotional decision when it comes to the investment type of pot that people hold. So it's much easier from that standpoint. I know it's extremely competitive. It's a commodity, but I also know that I don't need 1 million customers. Getting into this and starting the business plan, for me, it came down to how do I turn this into some kind of pension type of income where I don't have to get out of bed and I'm going to make a 6-figure income as long as I take care of the customer pool. And this is the best way to do it, is what I found, where it's a commodity, everyone needs it. If I'm a little bit different in that, maybe it's my approach to doing this versus the way other guys do it. Hey, that works for me and for the customers I serve.
100%. And, another thought that I was noticing is the person that mentioned this to you from church, that turned out to be a pivotal, powerful conversation. And I think that's an encouragement to all of us to go, you know what? our words in conversations have power in any realm, whether it's personal, professional, spiritual, financial, all of that. So in our interactions with people, many times some of the things that we say can be a wonderful encouragement, and sometimes we need to be careful because what we say can be a discouragement. So I think that was really neat that you picked up on that from that person and made that pivot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've always thought it makes sense to be open-minded in life, not just in business. And I think around the time when this career change happened for me, it was maybe sort of that point in life where, hey, upper 40s, what's my purpose in life? And I think it's more than just, hey, what's in this for me? It's what I have found, certainly with this business, is the more I give back to others, the more I do for others and put others first, the better off I become. And I almost giggle. Like, I don't even feel like I'm working. If I just take care of people and put them first, it's like, hey, look at that. My bank account's growing and the business is growing like weeds. It's awesome.
Have you ever read that book, The Go-Giver by Bob Burg?
I have not, but I've met a number of people when I've shared my story. They say the exact same thing you just mentioned. You sound like the go-giver. So I know the concept and it makes sense.
Yep. So now have that comment be the same pivotal comment and confirm that, okay, I've heard it enough. I'm going to finally go to Amazon, get the book for $5 or $6 or $8 or whatever. It really is a wonderful book, and it's a mindset, it's a methodology, because literally in sales, because we're all in sales, no matter what we're doing, we're selling something, product, commodity, planning, all of those things. But in reality, if you can give and serve and educate and give value, then of course people are like, wow, Kevin, you've been so helpful to us in what can I do to help you out? And maybe it is just that attitude, because people in sales, I literally got back last night from Nashville doing a keynote speech for a group, and I use this example. People can tell when you have commission breath. It's like, you're pushing a little too hard here, and I feel like you're trying to fit that square peg in a round hole, and you're trying to make your numbers for the end of the month. But when you can just go, hey, look, let's just see what value this could be, whatever it is, but in your case, some insurance type coverages. Let's just see how this would fit, and if it feels comfortable to move forward, wonderful. If not, hey, we'll part as friends. So I think that's a wonderful way to approach doing business, and I know you adhere to that as well.
Yep, I do. And, the name of the business, Badger Insurance Advisors, if I hadn't mentioned to you earlier, it's really what I tell people now. It's kind of become a joke. I promise I won't badger you. And what I mean, and I didn't really realize that until I had a customer tell me, the reason we went with you is because you didn't bug us. We got quotes from these other agencies, State Farm, whatever, and they just would not stop emailing and calling. And I said, I know what you mean, because I'm a consumer too, and I've done the same process. But the way that I've handled this is I'm going to give you my best deal. And if that's not good enough, that's okay. Maybe I'll put you on my newsletter list and you think of me down the road. And if not, that's okay too. I'm really, not going to let it ruin my life, and please don't let it ruin yours.
Yeah. Well, and you don't even need to say those words all the time to every single person for them to get the feel that that's the way you operate.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a really neat position to be in. And unfortunately, maybe it takes you to have the experience, maybe years of experience. So what are you finding is some of the other ways that you set yourself apart from your competition?
In terms of customer service, I think that's where I'm really a difference maker. What I've found or felt is that most agencies will have thousands of clients because it's all about generating that recurring revenue. They got a big team, and they got to pay everybody. Yeah. And I haven't worked that way. I've got a smaller book of business, and I like it that way. I'm continuing to grow it on my own as a one-man show. I'm potentially going to add a few new support staff this year, but we haven't even crossed that bridge yet. But I think by keeping it small, that way I focus on taking care of my people, whether that is just home, auto, renters, umbrella, whatever the personal needs are. For a while there, I tried to do a little more than I could handle by trying to offer business insurance too, and I've done very little of it just because I feel that that's not my thing, and I feel that I'm better at the personal needs, and because of that, that's what I focus on. That's where I pay the customer service to, and it works. And even to this day, I was just running my numbers last month where my business continues to grow at a great rate. I don't know how long that'll continue, but if it ain't broke, I'm not going to try and fix it.
Yes. And, I've said for years and years and years, sometimes the best marketing is a job well done, which customer service. When you can treat the customer the right way, when you can do a good job, these days it's like, oh, well, you have a great coverage and great rates. That's wonderful. I would hope you have that. But now, how are you going to deliver it to people? How are you going to be there to support them and serve them? That now becomes a big difference maker, because just price alone, that's a hard battle to fight, because someone out there can have a buck or two less, whatever the cost is. But when you bring the full package and care, that really sets you apart too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I feel that people stay with me for the service. Another thing that I do like to do is, on a regular basis, and this doesn't mean every 6 months, it may be every other year, but to shop rates. What's this carrier that we've been with charging you now versus when we started, or why have rates gone up 40%? I use a software tool that basically will tell me, hey, this person is paying 40% more this year than what they were last year. Well, to me, that definitely sets off a red flag, and maybe I need to go to work for those people and find out, why has this happened? And maybe there is a better provider for them. So again, it's all about the service and taking care of people.
I'll bet that is a great conversation or communication to have when you proactively figure that out, reach out to the person and go, hey, FYI, I noticed this. It's because of that. And here's some options to help, close that gap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of times, these bigger agencies will use just a cookie cutter approach where homeowners, for instance, where, if your house is worth $500,000, there's your dwelling. Every other coverage in a homeowner's policy is based on a certain percentage of that. Here, as an example, like your personal property is typically 50% of that dwelling. So I'll look and do a review for someone's policy, and I'll see that maybe they have 70 or even 80% of personal property coverage on a homeowner's policy. And I think, so, let's say it's 80. That's 8 times 5, what, 400,000 worth of personal property. You got that much stuff in your house? I always view this as, I'm a consumer too. Do I have 80% of my dwelling worth of stuff that's not fixed to the building? Not even close. And I think that's just part of the model that a lot of these bigger businesses do. And that's one of those components inside of a homeowner's policy that's expensive. How much personal property coverage do you need? And there's just an example of what I'll try and tell people is, hey, I think you might be paying too much for that policy because of this. It doesn't mean I'm trying to lowball everything and make sure I'm just getting the low price and best deal for people. I just think from a common sense point of view, what do you have? What are we trying to protect here?
Yes.
And that's how the conversation starts.
And when you kind of coming full circle around to, pushy and sales and badgering people, if you are taking that approach and saying, hey, look, common sense says, or logically, you really don't need this. And they go, yeah, you're right. I think that really resonates with people. And rather than like trying to fast talk them into some big words and, well, we need to do it because of the, whatever the case is, I think that, real is rare. And when you can just treat people like human, they're like, look, man, just Kevin, thank you. I know you got my back. What do you recommend? That's
it. That's exactly it.
I love it. So, hey, what is kind of the vision of Badger Insurance moving forward here? You mentioned that you noticed that, hey, I tried this kind of line of business isn't really our wheelhouse. So what are some of the things that you're looking forward to, maybe in expansion or, doubling down to treat your clients differently and better?
Right. Great question. So far, I love the growth path that I'm on, and I'll continue doing what I'm doing to focus on personal service and personal insurance needs. I think I really kind of came to that conclusion this year. At this point, unless I bring in someone that is a specialist in business or commercial policies, I don't want to go there. Having said that, and I have a cousin of mine that's wanting to get into the business. I said, "Man, I'm happy to have you join the agency." This business is a whole lot more than just home and auto insurance. If you look around, there's insurance for everything, and some agents are better at other things, versus what I might be good at. So if I'm going to grow, I want to grow in areas that I'm not doing that I think I could be doing a better job in. And as far as, from a marketing point of view, I've really tried to automate this thing where newsletters, emails, I've done a few radio shows. Radio's been a big thing for me. This podcast concept has always intrigued me. Even as a kid, we would play, DJ, with the boom box in the background and say, here's the weather today. It's kind of fun, to do that stuff. So I've thought of, again, like you had mentioned, how do we provide some kind of service that was really helpful to people? So really just trying to expand that scope, broaden it out a bit where I don't feel that I'm offering a service that I just can't handle. And I never want to do that.
Yeah, you know your limitations. You go, hey, look, if you need business insurance, we've determined it's not our wheelhouse for a variety of reasons. I've got a strategic alliance partner in town that does really great, so I'm going to introduce you to them. And I think people appreciate that. And they go, okay, good. I'm thinking of Badger Insurance as, this and this and this line of business. Wonderful. So find your lane, stay in it, and be excellent at it. That's a wonderful business proposition.
Yep. And with respect to also maintaining that focus on personal relationships, what I find here in Denver is when people get closer to retirement, they start thinking, hey, maybe it's time to, set up shop in Arizona, something like that. So that's an area, like I brought on Arizona for Business, and it's growing fast because of, everything I just mentioned, is that whether it's retirement or a real estate opportunity, people are looking to other places. And I don't just have to turn that business away because I don't do business there. So now it's, we're fully licensed in a number of states. Arizona is one of our big growing elements, and, we'll continue to be that way.
Excellent. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a real pleasure to learn about how you got into the business, started the business, and serve your clients. What's the best way that people can reach out and learn more about Badger Insurance Advisors?
Sure. Call or text me anytime, 303-359-1799. Email is always a great way, kevin@badgerinsuranceadvisors.com.
Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure getting to know you.
Mike, appreciate it.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.